Tonight on Western Sports Roundup, the WPRA announces a new era of breakaway roping, a new home, a new name for the national finals, and we will tell you more about it today.
And after a quarter of a century away, the Red Deer Pro Rodeo is back in the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association. 2026 marks the return of this great event in the heart of rodeo country in Alberta.
And a lot of rodeos going on all over the country, right here in the Lone Star State of Santa Rosa Roundup in Vernon, Texas, all the way out to Redding, California. We'll tell you the results and what's happened thus far.
Ride, Jake, ride!
Got a good one started. This is a good one.
Sing it while he ties. You betcha, baby!
With Corey Keith. And Corey, we start off with some breaking news from the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. You alluded to it before we got started on our show today. Big news in store for our breakaway ropers.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There's been a lot of questions. Where's the national finals going to be in 2027? Or I guess I should say 2026 this fall. They just announced it's going to be going to the Will Rogers Coliseum. This is a huge move, and it's going to take place shortly after the national finals in Vegas. But obviously, a lot of changes, but still the same format. We're going to crown a world champion.
Yeah, they announced new home, new name, new dates, same world title on the line. It's a 3-year agreement. Now they're calling it the National Breakaway Finals as well, coming up December 18th and 19th. Heidi Eucher-Schmidt, the WPRA president, said we're looking forward to this new chapter of women's breakaway roping in professional rodeo and are excited to work with the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo to continue to elevate this championship event. With the overwhelming response we saw last year, we feel moving to a larger venue in Fort Worth will allow this event to continue to grow and evolve for the foreseeable future for our contestants and fans alike. And Corey, I couldn't agree more. They were packed to the rafters here at Cowtown Coliseum last year, and I loved seeing on night number 2 they had all the breakaway ropers out to sign autographs, and it was 2 hours before the event was going to kick off, and people were lined up around the block to get the opportunity to meet their favorite breakaway ropers. It was very clear that there were a lot of fans here in Fort Worth.
Well, and you know, as we look back on history, the national finals has even moved a couple of different places throughout its history. And so make no mistake about it, I think this is a great move for the sport. It's great for the Cowgirls. I know this is an event that everybody loves to watch. It's exciting, it's fast, and putting it into a bigger venue, I think is a genius if you ask me. And hats off to the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo for teaming up with the WPRA to make it happen.
And don't forget, they were an early adopter of breakaway roping at Equal Money back in 2020. They even received an award from the WPRA for exactly that, stepping out there to do that for the breakaway ropers. So I know they're very excited about it. Having worked with the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo Committee for many years now, they're going to put on a great show there at Will Rogers. And like you said, just have a larger seating capacity for breakaway roping fans.
Yeah, well, and you know, you get home from the national finals, you'll be able to go to the breakaway roping finals, so it's going to be great watching. But of course, all the great rodeos happening all over the country, including Redding, California. They kicked off their first performance last night, and it was a great one. Kind of a late night edition if you joined me in the studio less than 24 hours ago. But as we look at what's happened so far, the rough stock, we will tell you it is a one-head matchup, and Jacob Lees is still on fire.
Yeah, what a great ride to kick things off. He's your early leader so far in the bareback riding with this 85-point ride on 4-star rodeos. Rand the Man. This horse has been around for a little while now, and you can see why it's a horse they bring back to the rodeos time and time again.
Yeah, Jacob Lees, number 4 in the world, 2 trips to the NFR. Remember, he finished number 18 in the world a season ago, and this is a perfect time to continue just to get hot, keep clicking along, heading into that summer run, and that is exactly what he is doing. But this is a great story, if you ask me. Dirk Tavner, 4.9 in the go-round. The men's timed events, we'll tell you about that format in a moment. He's going to be winning the round at the moment, but if you look back at Deadwood, South Dakota last year, he took an injury that sidelined him for the remainder of the season. He didn't come back until Abilene to the Extreme Bulldogging Finals, and now he's starting to look like the Dirk Tavener we all know.
Yeah, so good to see him at the top of the roster right now. Congratulations to Dirk Tavener, your early leader in the steer wrestling. In the team roping, Blake Van Stavern and Stony Boy, 6 flat. That puts them third in the round overall. They were fastest in the performance last night, but they're also the best on 2. 12 and 5 on 2 is the mark for them that sits them first in the aggregate. Like you said, Corey, different situation for our men's timed events. They all compete once in slack every morning. The best come back to the performance that evening. So we're seeing a 2-head competition for them. Bronc riding, we're back to a 1-head match.
Yeah, get one shot at it, and Damian Brennan took a chance on Juliet last night. And you want to talk about quote-unquote poetry in motion, some announcers might say. 86 points. It was very nice, a beautiful ride by Damian Brennan. He's number 5 in the world. It seems like every year at this moment in the season, he's well inside the top 10. I'm just looking for him to knock on the door to a world title this fall.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. He's been climbing that way for a very long time. Tie down roping, it was Chase Webster. What a great run he made last night at 8-2. This puts him in the number 1 spot in the round. He's sitting second in the aggregate right now. 8-3, pardon me, is the mark for Chase.
Yeah, it's a 22-year-old kid from Utah who's just kind of getting his feet wet right now. He's inside the top 40 in the world, but if he keeps making moves like this, we're going to see him inside that top 15 before we know it. But barrel racing, it's a big pin. It's a 1-head shot. Just like our rough stock events, you get one chance at it. 17:59. This was Lynn Green. She hails from Lincoln, California, so a California native is on top of that board right now. Pretty special. I know last year a California native won this rodeo, so I know they are super proud of it, and the horses were really firing last night.
Yeah, great run for Lynn Green right there. Looked flawless all the way through as she hustled her way through that pattern to the tune of 17.59, and the lead overall. Breakaway roping, what a great start for this contestant right here. Millie Greenwood, she was 2-4, leads the way right now. Same as the barrel racing, it is a 1-head competition in the breakaway roping, and Millie, she stands at the top.
Yeah, the Columbia River Circuit champion. She is getting geared up to head to the NFR Open in Colorado Springs. So Greenwood kind of getting things in motion, you might say, with 2-4. She's on top for right now. But the big story, I think, is this kid from Gillette, Wyoming. He's the number 2 rookie right now, but he's number 7 in the world. That's kind of funny when we say that. Hayden Welch, though, Chuck's boy, dominated this bull ride with 87 points, and that's the number 1 man right now. And I know over the weekend, Noah Lee surpassed him in that rookie race, even surpassed him in the world standings, and now the heat is on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the biggest story is Hayden Welch isn't number 1 in the rookie race right now. It has been an absolute battle, but you know these young competitors just thrive on the battle that they're locked into right now. You can see our overall leaders right now. Holden Myers leads the way with 11.5 on 2 for him. Lucas Potter also leads the tie down roping, 8-4 on 2, or his run was an 8-4. Great run for him to lead the way.
Yeah, and just remember that format, the rough stock events, they all get one shot. Barrel racers, breakaway ropers, same song and dance, and men's timed events, they get 2 chances at it. But you can stay with us in the studio. I'll be in here with you tonight, another late night edition to take you through performance number 2. The coffee is already brewing. I may be 5 cups in right now. That's why I'm feeling my Cheerios right now. But Redding, California, we are going to be bucking them by the river here in a couple of hours, so stay with us.
Things are truly heating up right now in the world of rodeo, including right here in Cowtown. Premier Women's Rodeo is on right now. We're headed into their semifinals tonight, and they've been battling it out over the last few days to qualify to get these spots in the semifinals. And whether you're a challenger or a pro, the competition has been tough.
Yeah, you know, I've said it the last couple of years, what a time to be a cowboy, but let's not forget, it is a great time to be a cowgirl. There are so many opportunities for these ladies to showcase their talents. I love this challenger format to give these girls that maybe don't rodeo full time, to give them an opportunity to win $60,000 and to compete against these pros. This is a really unique opportunity for all the events, breakaway, team roping, etc.
Completely agree. In the team roping, we can see our list of pros and our challengers right here. 2 fastest times in round 1 and round 2 advance, along with the top 4 in the standings. Also move on, so multiple ways to move on into this semifinals. Breakaway, of course, in the pro side, it's the who's who of breakaway roping. But like you said, on the challenger side of things, it gives us an opportunity to put a spotlight on maybe someone that's just moving their way up through the rodeo world, maybe some of our more unknown names, and we can see some of these contestants coming this way because we give them an opportunity to compete.
Well, and it's so many times we've seen so many names be made inside the historic Cowtown Coliseum, and tonight that semifinals continues on right down the street from our studio. So if you're close by, you can stop in, get you a ticket, and go watch these ladies compete at the highest level.
Yes, semifinals is tonight, championship night tomorrow, but that's not all that's happening in Fort Worth.
Oh no, the PBR World Finals, it kicks off. So Matt West stops in the studio, one of the TV commentators. He knows the inside stories and he's got the playbook. He joins us next.
And coming up later on Western Sports Roundup, there is a woman that has a lot to cheer for when it comes to the American. We're going to tell you about Joy Wargo's American horses. She's got 2 in the field competing potentially for $2 million. That's coming up later on Western Sports Roundup.
Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Resistol, the official hat of the PRCA.
That is the home of the start of the second half of the PBR World Finals, where they will crown their world champion this weekend. Of course, round 5 starts tonight. If you are close by, get some tickets because the bull power is going. And they've already had a fantastic start to the PBR World Finals here in Fort Worth. And to talk more about that is the man on the microphone. You see him in all different aspects of the PBR. And our colleague, I should say, Matt West. It's good to have you.
I like the word friend better.
Yeah.
The word friend way better than colleague. Yeah. You never know where I'm going to show up, but one thing is always certain. I'm going to be as close to the bull riding as I can possibly be in whatever facet it is. So
I feel like you build up all season long, of course, to the PBR World Finals. And your events, if anyone's watched a PBR, they know there's a certain intensity that the event brings. But how do you take it a step further for the finals?
I mean, it's just like anything. You know, we all have goals in life. Well, there's 45 guys that reached one of their ultimate goals that they've had since they started riding bulls. That's the first step. The other step is a potential $500,000 payout for 45 guys. For a couple of guys, there's $1 million floating around out there. I don't know that there's much more intensity in sports than throwing that much money at these guys. And when you match it with what these guys do on a weekly basis, it's so fun to be a fan of.
So, Matt, tell us about being able to be on tour of the UTB, and not just that, but the team's aspect too, of going to these cities, seeing these fans, and watching these guys compete week in and week out. I mean, I think it's something we take for granted. The greatest bulls in the world and the greatest bull riders.
Yeah, I feel like anybody that's ever worked in major league sports, you know, whether it was pro baseball, I grew up listening to like Jack Buck call St. Louis Cardinals games, and now I get to watch the greatest in the world every single week. Guys like Sage Steele Kimsey, who's chasing a gold buckle in the PBR that has not come yet. That number 8 could come with $1 million bonus at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those guys, including Sage Kimsey. He came into the World Finals a little bit behind. He had some points to make up, and he sure did in the first 2 go-rounds. For anyone that hasn't been keeping up at home, we are now 4 go-rounds in. First weekend of competition was at Cowtown. Sage really started off with a bang. Yeah,
4 behind us, 5 to go. There's 9 total rounds, and when we talk about the payout, the points, and everything that's possible, Kimsey comes in with a legitimate chance. We talked about it last week. There's a number of guys that mathematically had a chance, and I said, in my opinion, it's kind of a 3-horse race with Kimsey being the third of those 3. Now, I kind of opening up my eyes a little bit because it might go a little deeper than what I thought, but I still think coming into this weekend, Sage has to be the odds-on favorite. If you were watching those first 2 rounds, especially 90-plus in both those bulls, unfortunately hit a little bump in the road, rounds 3 and 4, bucked off 2. But what happened with the guys ahead of him? Not much, which keeps that door open.
So I don't want to play the comparison game here, but as you look at a guy...
Let's play it.
Yeah, I love it, right?
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So John Crimber, the young gun coming in here, everybody has high expectations. He goes 0 for 4. So now you have a veteran coming from the PRCA, 7-time world champion, Sage Kimsey, goes 2 for 4. But let's put this into perspective, because at the national finals, it's 10 nights every night. Now the PBR format, Sage got to get on a few bulls. He got to go home for a couple days.
Yeah.
What do you think that does for him?
So did John Crimber.
Yeah.
John Crimber got to go home, get in the practice pen, and do what he does every single week,
Yeah.
which is get on bulls. That's what he loves. You guys remember? Well, no, of course you don't. But like when Kobe Bryant popped up right out of high school at 18 years old, so much pressure, but it took him a few years to kind of get in a rhythm. Not everybody is that instant superstar. Crimber's got a lot of that, but we got to remember, guys, he's just 20 years old. That is so much pressure. Kimsey has come in and he has been the focal point his entire career. You know, well over a decade, he's been the guy that everybody's looking and talking about. It's a lot for a guy like Crimber to come in. Brady Fielder, as cool, calm, and collected as he is, there's still so much pressure on these guys to come in and perform at the highest level. We know they can do it, and I'm telling you what, this weekend, I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to years past. It's going to come down to the final nod of the head on Sunday.
Well, and here's the thing I think with John Crimber, too. Yes, he bucked off the first four, but
Yeah.
he was the world #1 for a reason, and that is still
Yeah.
inside of him that I would assume we're going to expect to see for the second half.
Yeah, and what does everybody say in bull riding? Have a short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about what happened yesterday, whether it's that buck off or whatever. And I think tonight these guys come in with a clean slate. Take a look at the top 10 guys in the world. I mean, Luciano De Castro, who is not on that list, but he's the #1 guy in the event right now. He can play spoiler for any of these guys. Fielder is still not out of this. He's ridden one bull. He can bounce back. Guys, this is why we love sports. I could sit here and say, oh, without a doubt, it's going to be this guy. Nobody knows what's going to happen other than 45 guys are going to come, put their hand on the rope, nod their head, and we're going to wait and see what happens.
So let's talk about tonight because the bull power, it's pretty serious as far as potential bull of the years. There's 3 or 4 of them in the lineup. I think the same pen of bulls, they only rode 8 of them in the previous go-round. So is there anybody that stands out to you tonight on maybe one matchup that we need to keep our eyes on?
Yeah, a couple of them. A guy by the name of Crimber, a guy by the name of Fielder, a guy by the name of Kimsey.
We don't even need to know their bulls.
Yeah.
Right, but Sage Kimsey, I believe, has top dollar tonight. That's 2 wily veterans just going at it. Luciano De Castro's got a good one. That's going to be a little bit tough. Hudson Bolton can make a major move tonight. Kid is a rising superstar. But yeah, I do. It's hard not to look at those top 3 guys and go, I can't wait to see what they do against the rankest bulls in the world because they're all out tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you alluded to it earlier. Luciano De Castro, he's been so impressive over the first 4 go-rounds. Both he and Hudson Bolton go 4 for 4, and Luciano has a chance to play spoiler with exactly what he's doing here.
And talk about 2 totally different tales of a career. Luciano, the veteran who's been here a number of times, comes in. He's had some roller coaster type seasons where he's had moments where you think, oh man, has he lost a step? And then he shows up here and he's just absolutely perfect that first weekend. And then on the flip side, a kid like Hudson Bolton, who's just a teenager, last year's Rookie of the Year, and then he went and chased that NFR title, and he got to Las Vegas and did all that in the world of pro rodeo. Well, now he's back and he's showing the world why, hey, I'm good enough to do this. Wherever I want to do it, that's where I'm going to be, and I'm going to be doing it at the highest level. This kid is a superstar, mark my word.
Well, here's a look at the aggregate of what's happened so far, and you can see Luciano on the top of it. Yeah. Hudson Bolton close behind, second right now. And you look at the top 10, but I think tonight, and just in my opinion, Hudson Bolton is kind of the wild card because he has that lights out bull, that same bull that Sage Kimsey had where he was 92+ points on. This is good stuff.
You look at everybody else on that list, and what do they all have in common? Years of experience at this event. Claudio Montagna Jr., a guy that was right there in the mix as well. This is his 10th finals. He is tested. He is battle-worn. He's proven himself over the time that he's been here. And I hate to say it, but like the veterans are the ones that stepped up the first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Matt, I gotta ask this question. 17 years at the PBR World Finals.
Yeah.
You have been on the announcer stand.
Yeah.
You've been on the TV. You've been in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite PBR moment?
Oh, man, it's funny because I was talking about this last week. I get to be there when a guy like Chris Shivers says, this is it. I'm emotional, and you guys know that. When a guy like Jess Lockwood wins his first world title, it's hard because I sit back and I look at the last 17 years and I go, man, I got to announce Adriano Moraes riding, competing, McBride, and then Shivers, and then you fast forward, and then all of a sudden it's guys like JB Mooney. Now it's turned into Lockwood and Hudson Bolton and John Crimber. It's like just the fact that I've got to be a voice for a split second of some of the most incredible careers the sport's ever seen. I'm a very grateful guy.
Yeah, I think for all of us, getting that proximity to greatness is a pretty cool feeling, and one that so few of us get the honor of having. So I couldn't agree more.
Everybody gets to see greatness on television, but what does greatness look like behind the scenes? And we have that. We have those stories of what it looks like in the locker rooms, the hallways, at home, the airports. That's what's fun for me.
Yeah. Fun for us too. Fun for us to watch, because they have made it dramatic after the first 4 go-rounds of the PBR World Finals.
It's going to get even worse, I promise you guys.
We're getting ready to kick off this second half. Matt, thanks so much for taking the time to break it down with us.
Appreciate you.
Matt West from the PBR, one of the voices that bring you all the drama, all the stories each and every week.
Well, and don't forget, it is the final weekend of the PBR World Finals, is what we're teeing up here tonight, May 14th through the 17th. Get your tickets and watch the very best in the world hash it out for the world title. But stay with us, because there's some cool opportunities ahead if you want to get your money in on some bucking bulls and a chance to win a lot of money. We will tell you more about it and interview Kyle Lippincott on the other side of this break.
Bubble gum right there in the box. Oh, right there. I don't know. Sierra, did she get out of the barrier? Yes,
Look, and I think she did.
Jackie Crawford, 2 American titles.
Woo! Yes, ma'am.
This pressure, it's tough, but these kids are used to it.
How about that legendary run right there, 7 and 46.
But those that have kept the barrels up have been fast doing it, and none are usually as fast as this cowgirl right here, Dusty Lynn Hall.
Gonna have to sit up. Finish. And he does. Well, as soon as you get to the end, you let him know you're still there, and he did.
Well, you might say the lineup cards are now full for the American Rodeo weekend in Globe Life Field. The question is, who's going to hit the Grand Slam and a chance for $1 million or $2 million? You'll have to find out May 22nd and 23rd, Arlington, Texas. The American Rodeo Championship weekend fixing to unfold.
Welcome back once again to Western Sports Roundup. I don't know about you, Corey, but if you've ever wanted the opportunity to own a bucking bull, it's kind of few and far between. It's kind of hard to bust into the industry until about 3 years ago. Raptor KL's Kyle Lippincott gave us the opportunity to do exactly that. You can buy 100% ownership if you'd like in some amazing young bucking bulls. It's called The League, and it hosts the ever exciting Bucking Bull Draft. Year 4 now of this really exciting concept to own your own bucking bull. And Kyle Lippincott is joining us now to talk about exactly that. In the moments we had to visit before the break or during the break, Kyle, it's clear to see this is a very exciting concept. You're sincerely loving this concept, but how much has it grown in the last 3 years until year 4 now this year?
Yeah, year 1, it was kind of like I was nervous to unroll it because it was something totally different than the standard production sale, if you will. And so I want to say the hype around it, the following from social media, the people that want to get into the bucking bull business, I think that's what's exciting and rewarding to me is this whole concept is welcoming to those people, and that there's people every day that didn't know they could own a bull, and now they can.
So I've heard the old saying about marketing. Marketing is useless unless it captures somebody's attention, and this has got my full attention. So when you guys were, I don't know what you were doing when all this came about, but who thought of this? I mean, obviously it's your idea, but how did you think you could put all this together?
Yeah, so sort of. So Jerome Davis was doing something similar, and a guy that sends me his calves, Cheyenne Owens, we partner on his calves, and he called and he said, hey, Jerome called and said that I need to do this bucking bull draft deal. People like it, and I told him I was not the guy for that, but you were. And so we hashed it out. I actually called Jerome, and there's a lot of things that I changed. to make it my own, if you will. And after Jerome and I talked and Cheyenne hashed out some details, year one, mind you, it was born.
Give us the basics of now on year 4, how this is going to work.
Yeah, so year 4, the bucking bull draft, I pre-sale 15 spots. And every bull that I deem competitive or potentially to be competitive will go into the draft itself. And I say that because I'm not just putting in a bull that is a 82 or 3-pointer. Like, the competition world is so tough nowadays that I want my customers to have a chance to be competitive. And so those 15 draft spot holders, they get first option of everything that I have.
From the previous year, they can battle their way to try to get those 15 spots.
Yeah, exactly. So they get to pick the first 15 spots, and then once the draft is done, this is where I'm kind of trying to step up a little bit and upgrade. We're going to have a free agent auction following the sports theme here, the undrafted free agency, and they're going to bid on those spots, and that's open to the public. So anybody, even if you don't have a draft spot, you can still be a part of the league.
Okay, so now the big question is, a lot of these people that are buying these bulls, many of them don't come from agriculture, ranching, or farming backgrounds.
I don't think a bull would be great in your backyard in the city.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he'd go right through a chain link fence and get after your neighbor. That might be a good thing in some places. I don't know, depending on where you're at. But what happens to these bulls once they purchase them? Do you guys take care of them, or do you help them get them somewhere? Do they take them home? What can they do with them?
So when they draft a bull, they're selecting 100% interest. With that, they're more than welcome to stay in my training program, or they're able to go wherever they want to. They own 100% of the bull. Now, with, like you said, the people that maybe they're sports enthusiasts, maybe they like gambling a little bit, they're addicted to the adrenaline, that they don't know anybody. So they can stay in my training program, and we'll get them to the ABBI events, all the competition events across the country, hopefully leading to the league championship and the ABBI World Finals.
You mentioned marketing this event, the draft, these bulls to people outside of the Western industry, outside of probably your typical customers that you would have started out with. Why is that so important?
I just feel like that again, there's people that out there that they're going to spend their money on what they're attracted to. They like an adrenaline rush, and that's anybody. You know what I mean? Everybody who doesn't like competing. People have been competing in sports since they were coach pitch T-ball level, and this is the same thing. They get to own a bull, they get to name a bull, and they get to feel that adrenaline rush and the fact of being competitive with their own bull. And not to mention, this isn't a selling point of mine, but there's a lot of money to be won with these bulls. I mean, the reality is, if you have a good one, you can win a bunch. The ABBI's Big Bucks Championship in March paid one bull $100,000 in 4 seconds. So there is a lot of money to be won, but it's more so about the experience, the adrenaline rush, being competitive, and owning a bull.
And being a part of our Western industry,
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Well, and you know, it's crazy that we're talking about this. So the number one question, so like at the PBR Velocity Tours, I announced some of those events. When I do these tours, the number one question people ask me, they said, how do we own a bull? Like, that is their main question. And you're giving these people an opportunity to do just that.
And I've kind of, the way you talk about the marketing and stuff, I've opened the gates to entry level.
No pun intended.
Yeah. The main question I get too from brand new people is, how does my bull get to the PBR? How do I get him to the rodeos on the Cowboy channel? And the way I tell them is you can go spend a lot of money and buy a bull that's ready for that level, right? Or you can get in, and those bulls don't have competition earning eligibility, where these bulls, your entry level cost is lower, and then you get to go up the step ladder and you get to watch him progress and watch him mature to hopefully win money along the way and make it to that level.
What kind of response have you received? You're now in year 4. You told us you have people that come back year after year to be a part of this, but maybe you have a certain story of someone owning their first bucking bull, or what have the responses been like?
I mean, of the 15 draft spots that have been purchased this year, I would say 7 or 8 of those, when they first got in, this might not be their first year, have never owned a bull ever before. And to me, that's gratifying, because outside of selling my bulls and whatnot, I do enjoy educating the people. Like, I had an hour-and-a-half conversation on the way down here with a customer that was brand new last year, and we're talking about the PBR finals. He's bought some embryos. Like he's
all in.
All in. Like he bought some land. They planted grass. Like it wasn't pasture, right? Like they've cultivated, planted grass, and they're going to implant embryos. And so seeing them get in with me is awesome. But to see now they're invested in the bucking bull business and Western sports.
Well, Kyle, I'm going to be honest. We need some more people like you in this industry that are willing to step out and take a chance and do something that not a lot of people can do, and especially with dangerous animals like bucking bulls. I mean, let's be honest. But this is how we grow our sport, is it expanding this opportunity for people all over the United States, all over the country, all over the world. I mean, this is a great opportunity. So thank you for for having this vision, and thanks for being on here to talk about it today.
It's taking a little bit to get it going. Little nervousness, treaded waters, I guess you could say, but now that it's off the ground, I'm running with it and I love it.
Yeah, well, we wish you the best of luck July 31st. If you guys don't have anything to do, be sure to check this out and get ready for it. But Kyle Lippincott, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, great event coming your way. If you want to be a part of the league, you got to join the Bucking Bulls Draft. That's coming July 31st. You'll get the preview that day, and then August 1st, maybe you could be a first-time Bucking Bull owner. Stay with us on Western Sports Roundup. When we come back, I get the opportunity to visit with a friend of mine from north of the border. There's a new rodeo coming back to the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association and the PRCA. We'll talk about it next. Well, it's been about 25 years since the Red Deer Pro Rodeo has been alive and well in the heart of Alberta, which is, of course, rodeo country in Canada. Now, back in 2026, the Red Deer Pro Rodeo is set to kick off in about a week from right now. Welcome back into our Cowboy Channel studios. I'm Katie Lucas, and you know how much I love my rodeos in Canada, so it's a real honor for me to have Tanner Gerlitz in the studio with me now, one of the committee members for the brand new or the comeback to the Red Deer Pro Rodeo. Thanks so much for taking time to visit with us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me. It's I'd call it probably a comeback. They went away from the Silver Buckle Rodeo they had at Red Deer for years and years, and then they kind of made a comeback once with the Canadian Finals there for 6 or so years, and then another couple years off, and they the slogan on the poster is "Rodeo belongs here," so they brought it back, and it should be bigger and better and growing further and further each year, I think.
Yeah, as I said, it's rodeo country. That is the heart of Alberta. There's so many rodeo competitors, so many ranchers in the area. You live in the area as well. What does that mean to you? Rodeo belongs here. I know that has kind of a personal touch for you too.
For sure. It's especially that time of year. As a former athlete, if you can get a good hop on it right off the bat and win a bunch of money off the hop, that's a big start for your spring and make summer and fall go a little easier for you if you're trying to make the Canadian Finals. And we went ahead and had a tour rodeo our first year. It took some doing with sponsorship and stuff, but we got up to 9,000 added, and our plan is to be growing each year. So if you can take a step in the right direction right off the bat and have a tour rodeo and try to keep growing it for the athletes, and that's what it's all about, is we want our fans in Central Alberta to be happy, and we want the athletes to want to come to our rodeo.
And I think that shows in the planning for that rodeo. Not only was it very important for you to add enough money to be one of the major rodeos in Canada, but you chose your weekend wisely too, where people can jump in and hit up a couple great Canadian rodeos.
Yeah, it's the only two rodeos are on, or both tour rodeos. Buffalo Lake is on with us, and they got 15,000 added up there. So I'm hoping we'll get, and when the draw's out now, and we did get some big names, some guys from down across the line that are coming up, and should be action-packed all 3 nights, and huge entries in the timed events. We capped all our rough stock events, and we filled up everything but the bareback riding, but we still got a pile of bareback riders for what Canadian bareback riding has looked like the last few years. So it's coming along, and I mean, with money like that added, and you can drive 3 hours down the road and hit another one at the same time, and for guys down south that are trying to get their rodeo count in Canada, it's 2 big rodeos they get a chance to go to in May with not a lot else going on, so it works out really good.
You may be retired from pro rodeo action, but I know you were excited to look at the draw. Let's talk about some of those matchups, because there's a few that just jump off the page.
Yeah, for sure. Jacob Lees is coming up in the bareback ride, and he's got Broken Arrow. a horse that come from Ace Northcott that Big O Rodeo has now, and horse has been in the NFR and the Canadian finals, and Jacob, he's been in the NFR, and should be a really good matchup. There's a young boy from Nanton area, Hunter Sapola. He's got Renegade, and that's the horse that Stetson and Statler both won a round on at the NFR last year. So for a young guy to come in and see a matchup like that, it'll be exciting for Hunter. And Nick Tetz in the bull riding, he's got Trailer Trash, bull of Outlaws that's been around for a long time. They've won everything there is to win on them, from the Final Four at Calgary to round 6 at the Canadian finals and everywhere else. So he's the exciting one. Nick's obviously second to none in bull riding, especially in Canada, and he rides really good. So there's a ton of good matchups. We got all the great contractors there, so there's a ton of NFR horses, NFR competitors, and it looks really good.
Why was that so important to create a rodeo that contestants would want to go to? You talked about not just on the rough stock side of things, you've obviously brought in a lot of great stock contractors to make sure that part of the competition is great, but you mentioned the timed events are packed as well. Why was that so important to make it a rodeo that when the draw came out, you saw a lot of people?
Yeah, it was one of them things. It's a lot of people don't realize this, but in rodeo, you pay an entry fee, and the more contestants you get, the better the rodeo pays. Not only our added money, but all their entry fees add into it. So the more entries you have, the better it pays. So when all them guys show up and enter, it makes it pretty exciting to see how much someone can win at a $9,000 rodeo. We had 60 steer wrestlers, like 60, just under 60 tie-down ropers, 90-some breakaway ropers, 130 barrel racers. It was a big entry, and it's looking really good, like it should pay really well. And hopefully in the future we can get up the money where it's starting to get to life-changing numbers, which is kind of the goal with me and everything I do in rodeos, try to make it as big as I can, as fast as I can. So the committee and myself, we're all really excited to keep going forward with the rodeo.
And it's clear if you're able to win that silver buckle, you are going to earn it. But it's a buckle that's pretty special to both of us, too. When we had you on last, I told the story that my dad's red silver buckle from the Red Deer Pro Rodeo, that was the one that I wanted to wear. And it's been a similar story for you, too.
Yeah, my dad won the bull riding there, and I think it was like 83 or 4 he won the bull riding. And I wore that buckle when I was a kid. And then in 2000, I ended up winning the steer riding at one of the last silver buckle rodeos and had the buckle myself. Then my little boy was wearing the buckle and misplaced the buckle, so we're not sure where it's at. But yeah, it's when we got a hold of Troy Fisher to make the buckles this year, we wanted to make sure that famous red tinge was in there somewhere, kind of a throwback buckle, and I think Troy did a really nice job of kind of bringing back the old school look with the new school ways of how he builds buckles.
Yeah, we just got to look at one of those old buckles right there. We can see it, the Silver Buckle Rodeo. It was so famous, but then we look at Troy's take on it. I loved that, like you said, it has a nod to what that old buckle was, but you modernized it, and I think that's clear in everything you're doing with this rodeo. You want to honor Red Deer, the community, Red Deer, the pro rodeo that was, but how are you taking it into the future too?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we're here for the fans and we're here for the contestants. If the Westerner Park and us as a committee can make some money on the deal, perfect, we can keep growing it, but we don't want to pocket any. We want to keep putting it back into what we're building. And like the future of the rodeo doesn't really have our committee is all willing to grow. So I think the future of it doesn't have a roof on it. We can keep going up from here, and I'm hoping we can get up to 15, 20, 25 in the future years and have one of the bigger rodeos in Canada. And I mean, that building, it holds 7,500, so if we can put 7,500 people in there a night, it would be perfect. But Rome wasn't built in a day, we all know that, so we're going to do our best to make it a show for everyone, and it's going to be kind of an old school rodeo. There's no bang and pyro and all that stuff for the first year, but we're going to make it an exciting rodeo and have it built as professionally and as much for the athletes and the committees and the fans as we can.
Yeah, and that kicks off just a week from right now. So we're going to let you get to it because we appreciate you just taking a few moments to visit with us today. I know you've got a lot to do from now until then. So Tanner, thank you so much for telling us about the rodeo.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I'm always excited to help share more about my rodeos north of the border. May 21st through the 23rd, Westerner Park Rodeo will return, and you can visit and get more information online at reddeerprorodeo.ca. For the first time in about 25 years, the Red Deer Pro Rodeo returns. Stay with us on Western Sports Roundup. We're going to stick a little closer to home in our studios next. We're headed to Vernon, Texas. They kicked off the first performance of the Santa Rosa Roundup last night, and we're going to tell you about the early leaders next. Streaming this weekend on Cowboy Plus. A lot of rodeos on the roster for us, including Vernon, Texas for the Santa Rosa Roundup. That ends on Saturday, May 16th. Kylene, Texas brings us their great event as well through Saturday for that one. And Franklin, Tennessee, the Franklin Rodeo carries on through May 16th. And don't forget, Miles City, Montana hosts the Extreme Bronc Riding on May 17th. That's on Cowboy Plus.
Well, and speaking of Santa Rosa Roundup, celebrating 80 years this year in Vernon, Texas, and you can see a little display of pageantry in the opening ceremonies with some beautiful palominos, Texas flags, and the whole 9 yards. But bareback riding, it was all about, I feel like we've talked about Utah a lot. This young man's from Utah. His name is Ty Hawks. Smooth Freckles was the great bucking horse from Butler & Sons Rodeo. 85.5 was the tune of that great score, and a great young man who's going to Western Texas College, who helped his team make it to the CNFR. He'll represent them in Casper.
Yeah, not an easy way to get to 85.5 points either. Great job, Ty Hawks. World champion in the steer wrestling, J.D. Struxness gets the job done. 4.2 seconds. Right now, he has the lead by a half second. Great run for the world champ.
Yeah, that's a good guy right there. He's off to a good start. But steer wrestling, that's who's leading it now. But as we look to the team roping, this is kind of a familiar name right now. Bry Kreitz and Ross Ashford. Bry Kreitz, number 6 in the world. Ross Ashford, number 5. These guys just won Corpus Christi, Texas. They won the finals down there. So they are just getting tuned up. Look at that heel shot right there by Ross Ashford. What a shot that was. And Bry Kreitz, obviously, he's known for the long reaches. I've known him to throw a 45-foot ranch rope at least 55 feet. And he does it right there for Ashford. So good job in the team roping.
Certainly a great run for them in the bronc riding. Colt Gordon was matched up with the great Butler horse Katiga here. What a great ride at 84.5. Again, not an easy ride though, kind of changing up timing a little bit. Colt Gordon weathered the storm. Great ride, and he leads the way after the first performance.
Yes, he does. That's a great bucking horse, too, from Butler & Sons. I know they've been through a lot over the last couple of years getting their breeding program back to float, and I think it is floating just fine right there in Texas this week. Also, tie-down roper, speaking of Oklahoma, Chisholm Kirkendall, 19 years old. Ties this one down in 7 and 5. And I know he is getting his mind on that $2 million as he is one step closer to the American. And I know he's staying close right here, getting tuned up for that big moment that he's about to be a part of in Globe Life Feed.
And Corey, not only is he fast on one, but he also leads the average right now on 2, 18 and 6 on a pair for him. So he truly is a consistent athlete. Speaking of consistency, we have 2 at the top in the barrel racing. Morgan Addison and Devin Brown are tied. You're looking at Morgan making her run right here. 17 and 40. Both of them lead the way.
Yeah, that's a big arena. See, maybe it's just the angle with this. Look at that place. It's beautiful. It's kind of an historic rodeo in the Lone Star State, and you can see that horse stretching out, getting around those cans in unique fashion. One more to go. You know what to do. We'll take her home. But they are leading the way, 17-40 at the moment. But breakaway roping, how about this? College National finalist. This is Cadence Tyndall, stopping the clock at 2.3. Unbelievable how fast this sport is. We talked it a moment ago of how fast and how fun it is to watch. A couple of swings and the run is over. But man, it makes you smile.
Great run right there for Cadence Tyndall. Carson Watford leads the way in the bull riding after the first performance on a Butler bull called Pretty Nifty. Steps out there backwards, actually, out of the bucking chute. Carson did such a great job, and you could see second and third efforts right there from Carson. But either way, leads the way right now at 86 points after that first rodeo performance. You can continue to watch the Santa Rosa Roundup there in Vernon, Texas on our Cowboy Plus app. Performance 2 coming your way at 8:30 Eastern tonight.
Yeah, pretty nifty if you got that Cowboy Plus subscription. Keep up to date with all the cool stuff, including this Joy Wargo. That is a trainer that has got 2 animal athletes. We'll tell you more about it coming up next.
Times moment is brought to you by a story that SI Rodeo brought to us. Joy Wargo is going to have big reasons to cheer when we head to the American Rodeo Championship weekend, because at the final regional in Las Vegas, Nevada, she had not 1 but 2 of her horses that she has trained and futurity'd go on to qualify for the $2 million payday. Blake Molly was riding Wild Child's Got Cash Uno, the 9-year-old gelding she calls JJ that she won the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals on in a very big way last fall. They got qualified along with Autumn Snyder on Frenchman Returns. The 7-year-old that she calls Duke is by Frenchman R. Hot, horse that's also trained by Wargo. It's clear that when we head into that championship weekend here in Arlington, Texas, Joy will probably be at the fence line ready to cheer on not 1 but 2 of the horses that she's trained.
Well, it's time for our top 3 stories brought to you by Vetericen Clean, Treat, and Heal.
Well, we kick things off with big news from the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. The Breakaway Finals is moving to Will Rogers in 2026. They've entered into a 3-year partnership with the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. The National Breakaway Finals is coming to Will Rogers.
And you want to buy a buck and bull rafter? KL is giving those opportunities in a draft sale that is coming up this summer, July 31st. You'll have to stick around till next year if you want to get in on the action.
And after about a 25-year hiatus, rodeo is returning this spring to Red Deer, Alberta. Yes, they've hosted the Canadian Finals Rodeo before, but the Red Deer Pro Rodeo is back and will make its debut once again in Red Deer.
Yep, on behalf of Corey Keith, Katie Lucas, good night, everybody. Stay classy. Stick around with us later tonight. Redding, California, coming up later.